from patreon.com/trouble. Tracking search positions. I thought what could be interesting today could be to show you how I track the search results of various websites. There's lots of reasons why you might be interested in the search results of a website. For example, you might be trying to improve it and you might want the site to rank better than it currently does. And in order to know how much you're progressing, you have to be able to track that month over month. You could just visit Google yourself regularly and note down in a notepad what position your site was showing on. But that, I think, is very crude. Your position changes quite a lot kind of day to day. And there's a lot of variables that go into which order Google displays websites in for each visitor. And it's hard for you to rule all those variables out, especially if you're doing this consistently. I find it really useful to use a search engine results tracker. And that way you can see week by week, month by month, how your website is doing in search engines. The one that I'm using here is called SerpBear, SERP-Bear, and it's free and open source software, which means that if you can get your head around the technical aspects of setting it up, you can track quite a lot of search results through this without it costing you anything. We're going to combine SerpBear with ScrapingRobot. There's two aspects to determining where you are in search results. The first step is actually to read the search results. The second step is to store those results and organize them over a timeline. So for the first step, that's kind of a specialist industry now of scraping websites, because Google don't really want you to scrape search results. So they make it difficult. So businesses have popped up like ScrapingRobot that specialize in scraping websites, even though Google might not really want you to scrape it. To scrape, I should clarify, means basically to just download the information of it in some way that an algorithm or a computer program can pass. So forgive me for getting a bit technical there, but basically we're going to sign up for ScrapingRobot, and then we're going to put the details of that into our SerpBear setup. I'm going to show you how to set up SerpBear as well. And then you'll have a system there that you can log into that long term you can use to track how your site is doing in search results. There's nothing in here that's actually complicated. I will be talking about technical stuff, but if you followed my instructions, there's not any reason why you shouldn't be able to do it. So the first step is to visit Pikapods.com, Pikapods.com, Pikapods.com. Pikapods is a website that lets you host open source web apps yourself. So an open source web app, to clarify, that means a website platform where the people who've made it have released the source code for anyone to read and use as they see fit. This is an excellent model, I think. It means that the community and the wider internet can benefit from these apps without them being locked down to some proprietary company or hidden behind a paywall or anything like that. And what Pikapods do is let you really easily run a whole bunch of open source web apps. There's all sorts of interesting stuff in here. I've used it for hosting websites, for managing newsletters, for tracking the uptime of my other sites, for all sorts of stuff. It's super cool. But for now, we're just going to get into SerpBear specifically. So you'll want to visit Pikapods.com and sign up. I'm not going to walk through the sign up process. It's exactly as you'd expect. You put your email address in, you choose a password, then you're logged in. You're going to add some credit to your account because hosting a web app isn't free, as in it uses some amount of server resources. So that's what you're going to pay for through Pikapods. But it'll be really cheap to host SerpBear. You're probably looking at £1 or £2 a month total. And that's way cheaper than the next cheapest option that you're going to find in terms of tracking search results. If you felt particularly kind of brave, you could try hosting this at home on your own machine, on your laptop even, and then you wouldn't even need to pay for hosting, but that's probably a little bit too technical to get into in a video. Pikapods makes it really easy. Okay, again, forgive me for waffling, but we go to Pikapods, you signed up, you click view available apps, and then in the top right, find apps, you're going to type SERP, S-E-R-P, and you'll see SerpBear comes up, and it says here it's going to cost from $1.50 a month to run. Click run your own, and then it's going to ask you for some details for this pod. The defaults here are probably fine, but one thing that you are going to need to do is set a password. So if you go to the envars, which means environmental variables, that tab, and then you'll see there's user and password and API key. You can actually put whatever you like in the API key because it's not going to be used. But the username, we'll put Stefan, and the password, we'll put password, you'll put a proper password, and the API key, we'll put some gobbledygook because we're not actually going to use it. And then click add pod. Easy peasy. This takes a second while Pikapods in the background deploy this app. So that means that they get some of their server resources, they cordon it off to one side, and they install this app that you've just chosen on it. And you can see here now it's popped up and it's given us the domain name lovely-kagu.pikapod.net. And if I click that, you'll see it loads me straight into the SerpBear login page. And I can log in with that username and password that I just made. And you'll see that I'm logged into SerpBear. So just like that, in, what was that, maybe a couple of minutes, we've set up a totally fresh web app and we've logged into it. And now we're ready to connect this to ScrapingRobot. So what you're going to do next is go to scrapingrobot.com and sign up for this. Again, this is really easy. Click the sign up button. You fill in the registration details, name, last name, email address, and you choose a password for this. Hopefully you're using a password manager, like I've mentioned before. Click to verify that you're over 18 years old and that you agree to the terms and conditions, which you should definitely read in full, and then you click to confirm that you're not a robot and click get started. You'll see here that you get 5,000 free scrapes every month. That means that your SerpBear setup can trigger 5,000 scrapes from ScrapingRobot every month. It's kind of complicated to work out the maths of how many search results specifically this is going to get you to track, but in my experience 5,000 will do loads. It'll definitely do at least one business. You probably only want to check the search results every day, but you could drop that down to every couple of days and that would still probably be fine. So once you're signed into ScrapingRobot, really straightforward, you're going to click the API info link on the left and it gives you this API key. This is all you need from ScrapingRobot. So you're going to copy this, then you go back to SerpBear, click the settings icon up at the top, change your scraping method to ScrapingRobot and paste the API key in the box below. And you see here it's talking about the scraping frequency. Daily, every other day, weekly, monthly, or never. I'd say every other day is probably plenty, or you can leave it on daily. You probably only need to change this to weekly or monthly if you're adding lots and lots and lots of keywords in. And then you'll see there's a tick box on here, auto retry failed keyword scrape. Sometimes ScrapingRobot won't be able to scrape a keyword for whatever reason. It doesn't really give you the details. If you click this auto retry box, it'll retry when that happens. So you filled in your details, you press update settings, settings are updated, and now we're ready to start using SerpBear. So this is really straightforward. You click to add a domain, you paste your website URL in, so I'll put chobble.com, and then you'll see that it's made a page for chobble.com. We've got add keywords in the top, and then you need to filter this down to United Kingdom, because otherwise it'll be searching for the USA by default. And I'm going to search for web design, press switch, which hopefully I'll be ranking somewhere for. And then we click add keywords, and you'll see it starts spinning. That means that ScrapingRobot in the background is looking for the position for this, and it's spun around, and then you'll see that it's got us ranking for position 20 for web design press switch, which isn't great, but hopefully it'll get better. Then you can click on this keyword and you can see the history of it over time, and you can see the full details of who was ranking for that term. My competition. Urgh. So here you can add a whole bunch of keywords, and then SerpBear in the background will scrape that keyword at the frequency that you've set up, and then you can track your results here over time. What you'll probably find, and this is definitely what I find, is that the search results kind of jump around all over the place without too much rhyme or reason. So really I find it much more useful to track a long-term trend for a keyword rather than worrying about the day-to-day fluctuations in rankings for a specific keyword. Like everything in SEO and search engines, we're playing the long game here. It's about establishing long-term trends and looking for long-term increases in your positions. If you get SerpBear set up and you find out that your search engine rankings seem to be dropping one day and then maybe go up 2 spots the next day and then they go down 1 the day after that, don't fret too much about it. There's a degree of randomness to these search results that is inescapable. The aim here is to track your long-term trends. I find SerpBear can be really useful if you're just about to make a change on your site and you're not 100% sure about whether this is going to have a beneficial impact or not. Tracking the keywords on SerpBear will let you see how Google actually reacts to those changes. And I found that generally things work well. You know, if you make a page on your website much better, you will find that its rankings do go up. There's a few days lag on all of this. You know, Google needs to find out about the new changes. They need to index your site. They need to update their index to suit. But I do find that by using SerpBear, I'm able to see, oh yeah, that keyword has got better because I improved those pages that were related to it. Okay, there's a lot more to SerpBear here. We can also connect it to Google Ads, and you can connect it to your Google Search Console to bring in data from that. But for now, I think I've given you quite enough to get on with here, with signing up for Pikapods, signing up for ScrapingRobot, getting that API key, copying it into your SerpBear setup on Pikapods, and then adding your first website and keywords and tracking those. If you have any problems with any of this, Please do let me know. And if you successfully get it set up, please let me know about that as well. I'd be really keen to hear about anyone who gets this working. Hopefully you haven't found any of it too complicated. Like I said, we didn't really have to get into anything particularly technical there, but I know that it can feel kind of overwhelming to do things like copying an API key or setting up a new domain name, things like that. It can feel more overwhelming than it really is once you get stuck into it. Okay, as ever, hope this was useful. Any ideas for future videos, please let me know. Thanks for listening. Over and out.